Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the ASAP Alarm Monitoring Center Update webinar. We're going to have Karen Carlson, our VP and General Manager of ASAP, will be leading the presentation. Just going to give it another minute here to get some other people admitted in.
This is where I say I love you guys because you always show up for my webinar.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, thank you everyone for joining this morning. We are happy to have you here for the ASAP Alarm Monitoring Center update, led by Karen Carlson, our VP and General Manager of ASAP Service. Screen moving here. Oops, missed a couple of here for some reason. Please mute yourself during the webinar call. We will have a Q&A session for questions, so you can either save them for a later time or go ahead and type them into the chat. Also, for the key discussions and the recording of today's webinar will be sent out in the next newsletter. Karen, the floor is yours.
All right. Thanks. Good morning, everybody. Please, and I will say thank you for bearing with my voice today. I've had the crud for the last week plus, and still, working my way through that. So if I sound a little nasally, or, as Miriam says, a little sexy, because that nasally voice does have a little tone to it, that's what's going on with me today. So I'm just going to jump into just the broker updates, what's going on with the legacy broker and where we're at with the AWS broker. So the legacy Endlets broker is now completely out of service. We were able to migrate all but one of the monitoring centers over before the end of the year, which was our goal. And then we got the last one done in the third week of January. Fortunately, the day before, we directly cut over to the new Endlets API. So we are still connected into Endlets for those ECCs that were already connected through Endlets. So it's just that broker that SPG had developed and was maintaining is now not needed. And our broker, basically our AWS broker, is funneling all ASAP traffic from you to our broker and then to an API that sits inside of Endlets, which delivers the messages to and from any ECCs that were connected to Endlets. So eventually some of those ECCs may want to move over to a direct connect and not go through the Endlets API as well. They can do that. They can work that out with their CAD vendors and change that connection. But for right now, there's no urgency for them to change, no immediate need for them to change. That is all, pretty much on that timeline with their CAD vendor for those to make that change. So like I said, all traffic to and from is being routed through this Endlets API. So Endlets had been building this API for a while because they were, I'll say, end of service. They had an end of life posted for the environment that the previous broker had been sitting in. So their way to adapt to all the systems that were in that environment was to build this API and connect. We were the first ones to connect to the Endlets API. We didn't know that at the time that we started building to it. We thought that this was, well traveled already, if you will. So it took us a little bit longer to get up and running and connected to that Endlets API because they had some development work that they found was necessary as we went through the process. But we were still, we still made the move over. Our deadline was January 31st, and we made the full cut on the 29th. So right down to the wire, but we got everybody moved over. There's been a lot of, I'll call it manual close monitoring of the connection to the Nlets API. However, you all are aware that we did have an outage last Friday afternoon, and that outage was with the Nlets API. So we still need to conduct a full root cause analysis with them, and that's scheduled for this Thursday. Basically at a very high level explanation of what happened is Nlets sent a message. I'm not really sure why, but they sent a message to us, and when it couldn't get delivered, they tried to send it to the dead letter queue and it got stuck. And basically, so all return traffic got stuck as well. So when they restarted the service, that's when you all got all of the backlog of messages that got queued up in their system. At, like I said, high level explanation of what happened. They basically had to restart the service, and then we were fully up and running again. So alarms were going out during this time. You just weren't getting return messages or acknowledgements during the time of this outage. Okay. I'm not gonna spend much more time on that, but when we get to the Q&A, if anyone wants to talk more about it, we can definitely do that. Okay, so talking real quick about ASAP views. So we sent out in last week's newsletter that we did do some changes to ASAP view. Thank you to Derek and Tanya for kind of working through this with us, because ASAP view is kind of a, well, it's a brand new thing for us meaning ASAP. And so there were some messages that were coming back to you all that didn't look like they look when you get a CAD integrated message, and it was creating some workflow or some staffing problems on your end. What we did is we changed the code so that now you just get a single accept message when an ECC with multiple or many users accept a message. So you just get that first one. We throttle everyone after that. A reject message is also sent to you when an alarm is, basically when it times out, when it's an auto reject. And the reason is going to be PSAP does not dispatch to this location when we send those auto rejects. When the ECC closes the alarm, we change this to be a single CAD update code that's sent to you versus the previous, I believe, was just update. And that's what you're going to get. You're going to get that CAD update when it's closed with the appropriate codes. And we've also, I'll call it, disabled them to add comments at the time of the closure. So that will clear things up a little bit on your end as well. Now, the way View is built is that after there's an hour of inactivity in any alarm a card that comes through to the ECC, that those alarms will auto close. So now when those auto close, we are sending a CAD update close to the monitoring center as well. So those are the changes that we worked through. Again, Tanya and Derek helped us work through these requirements as to what is best to be received by the monitoring centers, and we pushed that code out a couple weeks ago, and just wanted to mention that again here in the webinar. The goal here, right, is to make sure that your team or teams are getting information as fast as they can get it and as consistent as they can get it, so that we're not introducing any new formats, any new workflows or things like that into your centers. So that is pretty much all I have on the ASAP view updates as well. Next, I just wanted to throw it out here. We didn't get a ton of follow-up after last month's monitoring center webinar. We did a kind of a deep dive on the address validation processes and the improvements there. This is a chance where you can unmute or text in the chat. Does anybody have anything that they want to follow up or any successes that you had with the new address verification information we shared last quarter? Just, I can sit quiet for a really long time. Okay. All right. Well, maybe you'll save it for the closing. We'll keep moving on. So it is the beginning of the year. One of the things that we like to do is we like to ask our ECCs as well as our monitoring centers to go in and update your contact information in the system. So there is a link when we send out the slides, but we'll also send the link specifically as well. What we're looking from you all is to just log in to our system and review your ASAP administrator, your ASAP management leader, automations system admin, agent center supervisor, and any billing contact information in our system. So we'll give you a link to do that. You can see who's there, update any that need to be changed, and submit those. This is really important for us. When we do have an outage or we have information that we need to get out to the teams, it's really important that we have the most accurate information in HubSpot, which is our communication platform, so that we're getting the information to you that you need when you need it and as quickly as you need it. For example, like Friday's situation, when we have an outage like that, we need to be able to push that message and get it to all of the right people, the ASAP admin, the management leader, all of those folks that I just referenced off. So it's super important for us to have you all dial in because you know your people. You know your people better than we know your people in most cases. So if you can assign somebody from your team to go into the link that we're going to provide to you and make these updates, that would be very, very helpful to us all. And that's about all I have for today. Anyone want to unmute and talk about anything that we mentioned or anything that we didn't mention? Now's the chance to take the floor.
Hi, this is Tanya from ADT.
Hi, Tanya.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you possibly revisit what you were talking about the outage? Because I was listening, but I don't think I caught it all when you were saying about the return
Sure.
messages and where it got blocked.
Yeah, you bet. Definitely can go back. So now without the SPG broker in place for us to connect to the ECCs that connect up through Nlets, we go to an API that Nlets built, and then that API, is now the traffic hub, if you will, to route messages that we're sending out and messages that we're getting back in. What happened on Friday is I don't know why yet because we're doing the root cause analysis on Thursday, but something inside of Nlets tried to send a message to us that was not from an alarm incident, and it got rejected. When it got rejected, it went to what they call the dead letter heat queue, but it didn't. When it did that, it blocked all return messages. So outbound messages were flowing fine. Inbound messages to the ASAP broker and into you is what was getting blocked inside of the Nlets API. Once we got a hold of the right people at Nlets, they went in, they restarted all of their services. Unfortunately, that also meant that it kept everything in queue and you got a backlog of messages back, but they restarted everything and then it was working properly, outbound and inbound after that point.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. All right. Anyone else have any questions? All right. Well, short and sweet for today. Not that that isn't usually the case. I know we're usually a 15 to 20-minute webinar on this one, but you'll know how to find me if you have any questions, or reach out to Bill Toth as well if there's anything else. As Julie mentioned, we will send out the recording as well as a summary of this. That'll be in next week's biweekly newsletter. Hey, since I have you in your captive audience, um, I'm glad you laughed about that, Tanya.
I'm sorry.
No, that's great. What would you like to see different in, or what would you like to see more of in the biweekly newsletters? Or is biweekly too much? Is it time for us to back off to monthly?
I'm okay with bi-weekly.
Okay,
Yeah, me too. And I
so
would
stick
like to
with
say
biweekly.
that when I do my ASAP validations, the ASAP agencies and the lead Bill Toth and them are very helpful if something doesn't work out. So that's very
Awesome.
great. I appreciate that.
Good to hear. Thank you,
And
Tanya.
so is my friend Tanya too.
I know that
This was
voice.
Patty from Vector, so that's why.
Hi, Patty. Hey, you made it into the call. I know that hasn't always been easy for you.
That is true, but I was in today. It was exciting.
Very good. Very good. All right. Anyone else, any thoughts? What would you like to see more of in our biweekly newsletter or different? Any topics you want us to hit? Should I poll you?
I know my thing, and Bill already knows. You know, I am very intrigued by the forecast, which I know we talked about before, and I've had communications with Bill. So, anything regarding that would be nice to have.
Okay.
You know, even if we put like a blurb, you know, I don't know exactly where we're going forward. Like I said, I've been talking to Bill, but I mean, with some of the biweekly, it may be nice to put like a little blurb in there too about like the next coming month or something like that.
Okay. I know he was planning to give you all access to a calendar. Now we are working, he and I working a lot on identifying, risks to cutover dates and things like that as well. So I want to make sure that when we give you that calendar, you have both of those. But I agree with you. I think it would be good to have a little section in the newsletter that's standing that we always say who's coming up next. And we can identify if there's any risks to those dates as well in that section. That's a great suggestion. All right. Anyone else? My goal is to get us to 20 minutes, so 3 minutes more conversation.
Hi, this is Amy Given with Evron.
Hi, Amy.
So the calendar invite that I got did not lead me to this meeting, and Tanya was nice enough to share hers, and that's the only reason I'm here right now.
Oh, okay.
All right. I will make sure I'll check on that, Amy, for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
And I feel like I'm the problem child here.
Sorry for calling you out, Tanya, but actually I appreciate that you shared it with me.
You're the nurturer, Tanya. All right. How much notice how much notice do you prefer to get for the webinars as they come up? Do you want us to put them on your calendar right now for the full year? Do you want us to send them out 2 weeks ahead, 4 weeks ahead? What's best in regard for your normal planning?
I would like 2 to 4 weeks. I think a year out might be much just because we don't know what may happen to our schedules in 6 months.
Right.
Aaron, this is Patty from Vector. I got that forwarded this meeting from Josh. Am I on the list to get these meetings?
Julie, can you confirm on that?
Yep. Yeah, I'll double check on her too. She should be, because I know that we've emailed back and forth on them.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Josh sent me this one. I'm not sure if I missed it or what, but he sent that and told me to sign in for it. So I was like, okay.
Okay.
Okay. All
I
right.
mean, I got no
Yep.
problem. I just need to, and I agree with Tanya, 2 to 4 weeks out would be good because everybody's vacation schedules are coming up.
Okay. 2 weeks. So if we do maybe a 4-week, and then a 2-week reminder,
Yeah.
maybe that would be a good.
that sounds good.
cadence. Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, folks, we made it to 20 minutes. Last chance. Anyone have anything for today? All right. If not, everybody have a great week ahead, and we'll talk to you next quarter.
Sounds
If we
great.
don't talk
Thank
to
you.
you before.
Thank you.
Right, Tanya?
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.